Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to River City 93, your number one podcast for all things Richmond Kickers in and around the city. And to joining me on a happy podcast because the Richmond Kickers won a game at home and played very well. And it's Mr. Matt Myers. How are you doing, sir?
Back-to-back home wins in the league.
Yeah, League's Cup does not matter
Yeah.
in the midst of this.
Back-to-back.
I was thinking the same thing. Hey, back-to-back league results. I'm not mad at it. I mean, given what we thought the Doomsday podcast version of this was going to be, I can say I'm presently surprised and elated that we are talking about a Richmond Kickers 1-0 win over Westchester Soccer Club. It's pretty fun. Can't complete. I know the league was pushing out the 4-4 game from last year, which I can't think of another game from last year that makes me laugh as hard knowing the circumstances around it and how that game ended 4-4.
There were some weird ones last year. Like the Greenville game that was 3-3 was a little funky.
Yeah. But this one was just more so. The Westchester, for those who have never watched it, which you probably should, I think Westchester scored to make it 4-3 late. And their goalkeeper, I'll never forget, he had a howler of a game. Sprinted all the way over to the Red Army. He did like a knee slide and like celebrated, added more time on for us to score late.
Yeah, that's what they're. I mean, if we're looking at for the lulls, that first half at Omaha last year was enjoyable.
Oh yeah, that was a funny one as well. That was a funny one. That oh man, I forgot. Knapp actually came back this year and played for you, and I wish we would have brought it up when he played in Richmond. But yeah, Matt, as two back-to-back league wins now for the Richmond Kickers. As it looks right now on the table, this is the first time I can really talk about the table because I said I was going to wait the 10 games. They sit ninth. So it's not doom and gloom. They're right around where they want to be at. We'll talk about the game and everything like that. But like right now, how are you feeling of the direction of the Kickers? Is it tending upwards or downwards for you, or just kind of coasting along?
I think we're seeing a tick upwards. We've talked about this in some of the other episodes, but I think game was another continuation point of this team actually starting to look more like a team and building week to week. Like you saw if you're watching the game, a little bit more possession, a little bit more possession with intent, a little bit more confidence of being able to hold the ball in the midfield, rather than hot potato it, up the field as fast as humanly possible. A couple times where I was like, okay, you're getting maybe a little too confident here, on the ball in the midfield, and they got away with it. But I think that shows a little bit of growth, and they're a little bit of better understanding of okay, where does my teammate like the ball? Where do they like to go with the ball? How do they like to receive the ball? And putting guys into better situations to be able to be successful out there.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that on Saturday. Now, granted, there were some mistakes, there were some things that I'm a little concerned about, and we'll talk about those as well. But I think overall, like, I can walk out of the game and feel disappointed that we should have scored more. Obviously, 3 balls hit the crossbar, which I don't think we'll ever see that again. But I feel good. Like it's a 1-0 win over a Westchester team that was doing well in the league. And this is coming off of a week against Charlotte where the Kickers just look all over the place. They didn't look, themselves. And they kind of look like they got back to it this week and play well. And most importantly, collect a clean sheet. I think this is their 3rd clean sheet in 10 games so far, something like that.
If you're kind of the Open Cup games.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Same game. But yeah, and then hey, better than the previous 2 years when it comes to clean sheets. So
Sure. I well, I'm sure we'll go into more of the details. I think if you left that game disappointed about anything, you're a lunatic. Because that was a good, well-rounded professional performance, professional win. There's always things you can be able to nitpick at. I'm sure we will, but I feel like if you walked out of there, like time to kind of reconfigure what expectations should be.
yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think like you can walk out of it and be like, I wish we could have done this better. But I think ultimately, like you said, no one should walk out of that game feeling like, oh man, this is not what I want to see. It's a win. We move up the table. We're kind of out of the doldrums for now and full steam ahead. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. 1-0 win over Westchester SC. Matter of fact, Matt, you weren't at the game, but there were actually Westchester fans who drove down to this game. It was like 4 or 5 of them. But
I was absolutely at the game, but yeah.
Okay. So I didn't see you. That's why.
That sounds like a you problem.
That's why. I'm sorry, Matt. It does.
I saw that they exist.
I didn't see my friend at the game.
Well, some of us are people, and some of us hide away in the hoity-toity press box section.
Hey, I would love to be a man of people. I can't wait to get back down there. But having to sit up there in the press box and be like, hey, you got to sit up here for 45 plus minutes, and then it's like, okay. And then by the second half, I forget to move down every time until it's like the 85th minute. I need to do better at that. I keep forgetting. Yeah. So you were there.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah. So I saw a surprising group there. I saw your little interview with absolute traitor. I mean, come on. You're claiming, oh, I'm from here. I got all the love for Richmond, and you're putting your money into some broke ass Westchester team. Get out.
Hey, I will not name names to it, but there are some people out there who believe that what Westchester is doing is a little bit of a Ponzi scheme. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of agree with it. I know Greenville's doing the same thing where you can buy ownership of the club, but you really don't get anything in return. Like, it's not like you get voting rights.
Chattanooga FC, Detroit, some of these other teams have done this gimmick in the past, and more power to them if they want to be able to, if they're able to separate idiots from their money. Mm-hmm. Sure, but what a clown! In the same interview as, oh, I'm a Westchester owner, but no, I rep RVA. No,
no. Oh, Matt, let me ask you this: if the Kickers were to ever do it, like if the Kickers were like, hey, you can buy into the ownership of the Richmond Kickers. No, not like 50 plus one or anything like that, but like, you get some kind of voting rights or you get to be in the meetings. Would you do it?
Or do I have to go to the meetings?
Not technically if you don't want to. Like, I mean, saying that's what they're offering.
It depends what the price point is. Like, let's be realistic. I've spent, probably more money than I should have, on, gear and, tickets and traveling for this team. So I feel like it would probably be dishonest for me to be like, no way, wouldn't do that. But it would probably depend on the price point. Hopefully, the Kickers never have to do anything like that because that's usually the sign of broke ass club.
Yeah, it is. It is a little concerning when the club is like, hey, you can buy into this, but you get no rights. It's kind of just like you're in the room, but it's like they have a separate room to kind of keep you separated. It's a cool thing to say, but always kind of leery of that. So
yeah, I mean, if I have like a legitimate 1/100th of a percent, but as long as I don't actually do the work, like I'm not really interested in taking on that part of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I think like if the Kickers did offer, I think I would do it. Now, how I would convince Electa, is a whole different story. But
No,
we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
that'd be one of those things where it's like, yeah, they reworked my withholdings on my taxes, so yeah, like $50 less coming out of the paycheck each time. I trust HR's got it straight with accounting and why that's happening.
Yeah,
and then it just goes into the other account that then goes to this.
You're right. Just kind of just like, hey, it's just what it was.
Taxes, right?
Yeah, man. Donald Trump is just doing his thing. But all right, spend enough time on that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
also, if we never had proof before that she don't listen,
that will be the ultimate test of this. If she listened and heard that, I'm pretty sure it will come up. Like, what do you mean you spend money on the Kickers like that? But what we did spend our money on was a 1-0 win against Westchester. Kirkland scored in the 14th minute. And then, unfortunately, he came up lame. Did you see any point of where the injury kind of occurred for Kirkland? I know I'm kind of skipping ahead of the goal, but I feel like this is a big talking point given that he's our top goal scorer.
Let's talk about the fun part first. Let's talk about the goal first. And then so I think the goal was a nice hybrid of what we want the team to be and what the team kind of is, right? Because this thing starts off a throw-in.
It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah, so just a simple throw. I think it was Marana who took it, and ball gets to Darwin, and he just releases Kirkland into space. And what I liked was that Josh took the guy on one-on-one, and he went for it, got a shot off, decent save, but like he didn't try to get too pretty, too fancy with the initial shot. Like he just went for it. None of this dancing on the ball BS that we see a lot of our guys have a tendency to fall into at different times. But then the rebound comes out and O'Malley right on it, and he speaking of spoilers, what we're going to talk about later on, he gets a shot saved right off the line, bounces right back to Kirkland, and he finally is able to kind of get around the ball and put it in to the far post from close range. But it was a nice flurry. Again, a good blend of direct play, but with really going through the midfield to get there rather than just pure boom ball.
Yeah, and for those who didn't know either, Marnelli, Westchester goalkeeper, was on a 25-day contract. Their backup keeper on a 25-day contract, who is the goalkeeper coach as well. So my whole thought about it when I first heard that was like, I'm pretty sure Darren is keying up some way how to put their goalkeeper under pressure, like to make their goalkeeper like the primary playmaker. And Richmond did a good job of that. And even you go look at this goal, like it's Kirkland having to put the ball, which I feel like this part of his game he's growing in is where he's not just smacking the ball, like he's starting to learn the placement of it. Because this shot was all placement. Where he was on the field, I think it was, he was on the left-hand side, but even he's at a weird angle and he has multiple bodies in front of him. And for him to place the ball where he did is a sign that he is improving and growing as a striker. Because most people probably are just smacking that and it gets rebounded out and there's your chance.
Yeah. I mean, would have loved if the first one went in and we didn't have all the pinball leading up to it, but a good classy finish once the ball settled back to him again, and I'm not going to complain about that.
No. And there's also another thing that is good to see is that you have players following up their shot. I think that was something that was missing last year. Like as soon as someone took a shot, there was no one to follow up with a second shot or a third shot. It's good to see that here. We saw that a couple of times. Granted, it didn't come off, but that is a sign that people are hungry to get on the score sheet. Yeah. 1-0. And then, but the unfortunate part about all of this is that Kirkland comes up lame. I didn't see what happened. I saw him after the game, and I don't know if I'm imagining it or not, but I think I might have saw a little bit of a limp, but I don't really know what happened.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, I just saw him at some point just literally sit down on the field and like instantly, they had Lucca putting a shirt on.
Yeah.
So it's usually a sign that okay, they're not playing around here. It's not a all right, just give me 20 seconds, get a breather, let the boys get some water.
Yeah.
One of those injuries, that come up from time to time, uh, seem pretty serious. Like I feel like when stuff like that happens, it's usually some kind of muscle injury.
Mhm.
Uh, so hopefully nothing you know, too impactful. It's going to keep him out for any extended amount of time. Thankfully, Lucca is right there to be able to step in and uh, you know come in and do his job in a way we did not expect to have happen.
No. He I know they gave it to Yann Fillion for man of the match, which I'm not mad at. Me personally, I would have given it to Lucca because he had 2 goal clearance saves, especially one. Which one? Both of them are important, Matt. But which one do you think is more important?
I think it's that first half one.
Okay,
Literally
same.
about the last touch right before halftime.
Yeah.
Almost kind of just hooking the ball off the line after they had that corner. The header was just going perfectly into the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and because that would be such a momentum shift if
Yeah.
that had gone. I mean, okay, very fair argument to be able to say, okay, but there's supposed to be a whole half as opposed to the one in the second half, and there only would have been like 10 minutes left to get anything else out of the game at that point. But I think for the vibes, that made a big difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like, could have been the most improbable man of the match for a center forward playing really any amount of time of getting man of the match for defense.
Yeah. I was perfectly fine with giving him man of the match just off of those two saves alone. Like that man literally gave us because this is a game that we talked about it earlier, where it's like this game could have ended what 4-0, or we could have lost this game 2-1. Like there was no middle ground in this game, and maybe this is just the chaotic
they
nature
probably
of
could
this
have had. They could probably argue they could have had 4.
Yeah, because what Jan had a diving save.
Jan had a one-on-one, big save. He
Yeah,
had at least one other one where maybe not full extension, but he had to lay out for it.
yeah, yeah. And the one where he had the one-on-one on, um, I mean, I feel like I'm bringing it up, but it's not to criticize. It's just more of an observation. I initially put all the blame on this on Hayden just because of how much space was left it behind me. You kind of talked me back off of that, but Matt, why is this one-on-one not all Hayden Anderson fault, but a combination of just things that's all broke down at once?
Yeah, so I think part of it is scarily, similar to the second Charlotte goal last week of we're pushed up, into the attack, lose the ball. Okay, that's going to happen, frequently in a soccer game, uh, and then, a couple seconds later, the ball's coming, diagonal, out wide onto our left side, and once again, guys in a ton of space. Like we had better coverage this time than with Enzo last week, where it was literally, him with a free, drive all the way down to Dogwood Dell. But
Yeah.
this, time around, like I think it's one of these things where because I don't remember which Westchester guy it was that was out there, where he's positioned, it looks really bad on Hayden.
Yeah.
You're right because it's going right down that channel. But I have to imagine, that with the defensive rotations that are supposed to be happening because we know Darren likes to push his fullbacks higher. There's times where I see Mujib so high and I'm just like, what are you doing there, buddy? Uh, and some of it with Hayden too, because you can see Layden comes across try to approach whichever player that was, and that's where he slots in. I think it was 77. To be able to make that run right down the middle and he just beats Dak for pace, right there. But yeah, Jan's able to come up big once again on essentially a one-on-one, straight down the middle channel, and I mean, I think he might be, giving unrealistic expectations, to the fans for what can, be expected consistently. Because who saves this many of those?
Man, I don't know, man. Like, my bad. There was a part where he made that save that I was just like, last year, that's a goal. And it's like the USL League One is using that as a highlight because the goalkeeper probably gets nowhere near close to it. Like, the amount of saves, and it's not the amount of saves. What it is truly is, one, how commanding Yann is in his box. Two, it's how easily Yann just snuffs out trouble that just gives you like this sense of relief that we haven't had truly since Akira.
Yeah, Prime Akira.
Yeah, like we haven't had that in a long time. If we're talking, what would you say Akira's last good year was? 23? 22? Okay. So we're 4 years. We haven't had that since then. And
yeah, and even then, Akira and Yann are just completely different types of keepers.
Yeah. Like Akira at a certain points was starting to get punch drunk because he was making just the amount of saves that he was making. Yann is being, like in this game, for instance, yeah, Westchester had a lot of shots and when Yann was making saves. But I think Yann mentioned in the game, he was like, there were points where, he knew, like, if I make this save, it's going to be a while before Westchester come and attack again, right? But it was also like that common presence of him just being back there. And Yann will communicate to his back line of when to snuff out danger and when to, like, do the thing that he need to do. And hey, I am very comfortable. And like one of our podcast episodes is entitled "In Yann We Trust." I trust Yann very much. Like that man gave us.
I don't think there's another way to be able to say it right now.
Yeah, like Yann, like he did great. He did great. I know any other real big talking points for you out of this game?
Obviously, the team had a propensity for hitting crossbars and posts throughout the game. I don't remember who the first one was. Was it Ponholzer or was it Niels, the one in the first half?
I think the first one is Niels.
Okay, yeah, because I don't understand how that didn't go in because he's shooting from such close range, hits the underside of the bar, but still comes out.
Yo, I swear, all three of them hit under. No, I think one hit the post. I think the third one hit the post. But yeah, the first two hit underneath the crossbar. I know the first one hit the underneath the crossbar. It hit the line and came out.
Yeah, it's like the physics of it don't make sense to me. The two down, on our end. Okay, yeah, the one when Lucca shot it just pretty much hit it square. So that makes sense to me of how it came back out. And then Tarek hit kind of the outside of the bar or outside of the right post, I should say, on his shot.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I asked Darren about that after the game. I was like, what's it going to take for you guys to sign the post as a player in this game? He was like, I don't think we got the money to do that, but I'm glad we did put the one shot away we did.
Yeah, he didn't seem to take to the joke question very well.
No, he didn't. But hey, I've learned with Darren there is a time and place with those joke questions. But yeah,
that wasn't it.
No, that was not it. I think the only maybe two troublesome things you could come out of this game with is the kickers on the counter. They can get caught out. We've seen that in back-to-back games. And then the shots on target went down for another game. First half, they had 5 shots on target. Second half, they only had the 1. And it's hard to figure this out, Matt, but is that more so of a product of the kickers are up, so they're not like pressing as high enough? Or is it just like Westchester just got more control of the game and trying to force the issue, and the Kickers didn't have the opportunities.
I think it's probably some of both.
Okay.
Right? I mean, you got to remember that those 2 posts in the second half don't count as shots on target, even though they were literally on the target. So you kind of play around with the framing of certain stats in that way. But yeah, part of it is Westchester is going to be chasing. The Kickers are probably going to be sitting back a little bit because of the game state being 1-0. Westchester's they've got a bunch of big boys out there. Like I know we've talked about the Kickers getting physically bigger this year. So some of them Dutch boys that Westchester has, big boys.
Yeah, they are.
And so it led into a lot more of a physical game. I know there's a lot of consternation about the rate at which guys were getting booked, especially because at one point I think it was like 4 or 5-0 to the Kickers on yellow cards. And I think there's some merit to that because like early on, the ref was letting him play. I'm cool with that. If he wants to let him go and scrap, cool, let's do it. But like I know there's like a tough foul. I can't remember who ate the foul, but I remember we were talking in the stands, being like, okay, well, I bet anything, Owen's going to take this as, kind of open season now, and he's going to, lay the wood on somebody. And then he gets, a super soft yellow card like 3 minutes later, and we're like, oh, he's got to be pissed because, that's what he got the yellow card for.
I know. I asked him about that. Asked him about that the post game as well, about like how do you find that balance between like that line between getting a yellow and a red, and he was just like just game states, just understanding when and where I can be physical at, but obviously it makes it harder when you get a yellow card for something like that. If I feel like what Owen is I think you best described it last week. Like he might not excel at anything on the stat sheet, right? But he is like the Energizer Bunny out there, like who would do all the dirty work willingly. And also, I didn't realize this either. I think he mentioned it. I think he said left wing or left mid was a new position for him that he's learning on the spot.
Yeah, so he did mention that in your post game interview, and I think that helps to answer a few questions that we've had because I thought this was far and away his best game of the year, so far.
Oh yeah.
Like he was getting involved. He was a lot cleaner on the ball, in this game. What wasn't just kind of out there, practicing dark arts only. Which again, this podcast is a huge proponent of dark arts, so don't get us wrong.
Yes, I love it.
I thought he made good positive contributions until he kind of gassed out late and subs got made.
Yeah, I think he did a good job. This was a better game for him. So yeah, I mean, look, all around positives. The team was looking more settled. The team is looking a lot better. And I think the most important thing is we are out of the doldrums of the bottom of the table, which is a win. The team needs more wins. A lot more.
Yeah, wins. I think at this point in the year, it's easy to say don't look at the standings. We know everybody's going to look at the standings. It's what we do as fans. It's just working on stacking points right now. And the table's going to work itself out because we're at the time of year where one win can still shoot you up 5 spots in the table. So it's still going to be high variance, for probably another month or so. And then I think we'll really start to see, a few different tiers, settle together. And the key thing for this team is to, at a minimum, be able to be in that, second or third tier and just make sure you're not buried down at the bottom where it's going to be kind of swimming against the current all season long.
Speaking about, part of this podcast is also our 10-game review. And I think this probably is a good part to start at, Matt. But where would you say is a good tier where would you say what tier the Kickers are in right now? And where is a good tier for them to be at, say, the end of July?
I mean, I guess we kind of need to set up like the parameters, like how many tiers are we saying exist?
So I think let's just say,
because it like I don't think every tier necessarily has like equal representation either. Like
no.
like we think back to some of the old years when there was like a clear Orlando City B tier at the bottom, and it was them and ain't nobody else down there with them,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm happy to work with whatever level of splitting the league out that you want. I just want to make sure we're on the same page with that number up front.
Yeah, I would say I think teams 1 through 4 are like those are because those are the teams that get a home game. So I would say those are your top of the table teams. Like I'm trying to work through this to like the league table.
I think you're going to like 4 tiers basically.
Yeah. So then like
Okay.
1 through 4 is your top of the table. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are like your team pushing for a playoff spot. So that's 5 spots. And then 10 through 14 are maybe pushing for a playoff spot. And then 15, 16, 17 are like your teams who are just, it's there.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for the end of the year.
So I'm not going to probably break it up like as clean as that. I'll probably put it as like playoff locks, playoff contenders, bubble and 2027. So I think the Kickers are probably right now like somewhere in the borderline between tier 2, tier 3.
Yeah. I
because we've talked about this. They've played a lot of the better teams in the league so far, and got through to the other side. For the most part, I feel like Westchester is probably the first game that they needed to be able to bank. They got the job done. So I don't think it's fair to say they're a lock by any means, right? That would be a wild statement to say, so far. But I also don't think the season's a write-off already either. So I think there's kind of representative of where they are in the table right now. Right, they're borderline at the moment. Like we need to see them, be able to be a little bit more consistent in the attack. Like still only got 5 goals in 6 league games.
Yeah.
Lucca still hasn't actually scored a goal in League One yet, and he's going to have to step up, especially if Kirkland's going to be out for any amount of time and really start to be able to to contribute. We've seen the midfield grow a little bit. Hopefully, some of these guys will get back and we'll have some actual like real depth in there, and that's not to shade some of the guys who are coming on late in the game right now. But if we can be able to add Vinberg gets back, then all of a sudden we have some choices at center back and defensive midfield. Like maybe there's a world where Dak is coming in as an impact sub in some games, and other games maybe Ollie's coming off the bench, or maybe there's a million different maybes that can go in into all of this, right? Tyler Freeman gets back, and then be able to play around with how we want to have the attack look. Maybe some days it's Niels plus Tyler and attacking midfield setting. Maybe that plays around with a little bit of what we do with how we play with the wingers.
Yeah.
Options could be good.
Yeah, but options can be really good. And depth is really, really great. It's something this team has been needing for a while. And I feel like we have it. It just needed to get healthy.
Well, I mean, the way we're using the depth right now is to be able to still have competent starters, right?
Yeah.
That's how the depth is playing in at the moment, because we're down 2 center backs right now. We're down a key attacking player. We've been down a midfielder for a good portion of the year. So even just adding some of those guys in, and it sucks for the guys who might fall into not dressing at that point. But the idea is iron sharpens iron, and hopefully it helps everybody raise their game up. But yeah, if we can get guys who are starter quality to be able to come in for the last 20 minutes of the game, that might be what helps push this team into kind of a tier 2 type of category.
Yeah, maybe so. Like I feel like right now the Kickers are in that third tier, obviously because the table is so unsettled. But it feels like they're in that mixer team. Like the Kickers should be pushing by players, but hopefully by June they're in that. All right, the Kickers are a playoff team. They're still on the cusp of maybe missing out, but like they're a lot stronger than where they started the year off with. And I think the more as you go the year, I think the more the team gets solidified and gelled together, it might do well. So I want to bring up this topic, but like, is it fair to say that the results are matching the performances of this team so far? Are there a fair reflection, I should say?
I think probably overall it's about where they quote unquote should be. Right? Like I think you can make arguments for individual games. Like, oh, maybe this should have been a draw instead, or maybe this should have been that. But I think it kind of balances out for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think mostly fair. I don't think it's smoke and mirrors where if this team was the top 3 somehow, I'd be like, all right, I don't know if they're really like top 3 good, but I don't think it's a situation where it's like, okay, how is this team buried at the bottom right now? Like clearly they're better than this. So I think it's, like I said, mostly fair.
Yeah, it feels like it's a team that's make you wanting more, but you're also understanding of like if you go look at the teams who they play, you're like, okay, I can see why they're having to work their way up.
Yeah. If anything, maybe they could have like one more point in the standings, but I don't think it'd be much more than that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Defensively, the team has given up 7 goals, but like it feels like this team is consistently good at limiting like I don't know how to phrase this. Like they're good at limiting good shots at goal, but they are prone to giving up the odd like breakaway goal where it's just there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that coming up the last 2 games in a row. I mean, great, it wasn't a goal this game, but we talked about those breakaway patterns the last 2 weeks. Little concerning. If you throw out that Spokane game, which was a little bit of an aberration because the whole defense was changed up because of different injuries and a little bit of maybe tactical rest. Well, they're at 4 goals conceded in the other 5 games.
Yeah, 4 goals.
So it's hard to have a lot of complaints about the defense, overall. I think Layden's been revelation in the back. Vinberg was really solid until he got hurt. Dak's been, I think, fine since he moved back there. Hayden, I still think he's been far better than anybody expected at left back, even if maybe it seems like he's coming back to earth a little bit right now. Mujib's over there just perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I mean, it's technically in the midfield, but like, I feel like Ollie's done a lot to be able to help support the defense and be able to help, keep them so solid, ever since he started actually getting significant minutes. So all in all, I think the defense, is the star of the show so far. And obviously Yann. We've talked about him a lot today already and also seemingly every week.
I mean, for good reason. I mean, what I would say about this defense is like in years past, we were able to point out like, all right, that person or that position is the weak point, right? For this year so far, I can't look at any part of the defense and be like, okay, that's the weak point. Now I can point out things that they are lacking in their game individually, but as a group, I feel better about them so far. And a big part of that is Yann. And how much faith do you have in him, Matt, of him keeping this form up of these big time saves and being comfortable in a box like this.
I mean, every logical thing would say that okay, he's got to come down to earth at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, maybe that's just who he is,
Yeah, maybe
right?
so.
So yeah, I think the other point, kind of building off what you were saying with the defense. I think the biggest difference between the last couple of years is, just, we haven't had any knucklehead goals allowed really.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We haven't, and I like, even though it feels like heart attack soccer because it's always going to feel that way with the Kickers. I haven't had those moments, those mind numbing moments where I'm like, that's frustrating. I mean, the Spokane game, but like you said, there were extenuating circumstances with that, so it was forgiven. But yeah, it wasn't as bad as what it was last year.
Yeah, or just some of those things last couple of years where it's like, oh no, I can see this, coming, and it actually happens exactly, the disaster way you see coming.
You're right. I still remember what was it? Snedden's, was this the first start against Aviolta? The one that he rolled out and
Oh yeah,
he just got chipped, and I was just like, oh. It's just like, oh man. We haven't had any of those, so that's good. But on the flip side of that, the attacker output now, and then what? The Kickers have played 5 games so far? I remember that.
they got
I'm trying
5
to
league
think.
goals in 6
Yeah,
games.
yeah. All right, there we go. Like, not the most potent attack. We've seen the team hit the post. We've seen games where obviously start the year off where this attack did not look like it could go. Would you say the biggest issue is just chance creation, or are guys just getting in form? Because we started the year off with the likes of Darwin and Niels not in form and just relying heavily on Kirkland. Is it just down to those guys just have to play more minutes and just get back to their best for this attack to go?
I think that's probably some of it, right? Like, we've talked before about, like, the team just feels and looks a lot more competent with Niels out there to be able to help pull the strings on everything. Like, even if he's not, you kind of putting together, like, thread the needle passes that are breaking 3 lines to
Yeah.
send somebody in. Like, that's not this league, much less this team. Uh, but he helps to facilitate. He helps to be able to make things go, more than anything else. So I feel like we've seen an increase in quality, since then. Some of it, could be, like this game, the luck factor. Like, how often are you going to have that many, posts and not have it, kind of bounce your way? I think the last piece of it is, yeah, some of these guys need to be a little bit sharper. Like, Lucca, the last 2 games, has had shots from almost the exact same spot, inside the penalty box, and both of them have been kind of slow rollers, to the
Mhm.
keeper. Like, I expect better. You know, that if the keeper makes a save, he makes a save, fine. But you got to put a little bit of challenge, into him. Like, for whatever reason, he seems to be his shots seem to be better the farther away from goal he is, and weaker the closer to goal he
Yeah, that's
gets
weird. That
right
is weird.
now. I'm sure that's an aberration, but what I'm seeing so far, uh, I think the other piece, we saw, you know, a little bit with one of the posts in this game is, these guys need to be able to continue to find a way to, create some width in the attack.
Mhm.
We saw it in the Loudon game. Ball gets wide, able to drive in from out wide, it opens up, the right spots, and be able to score a goal. We saw in like the goal away at Spokane. Yeah, it looked a little clumsy at time, but it came from Kirkland getting out wide, and then Darwin over to Tarek to be able to rifle in from there. So whether that's finding ways to incorporate Hayden and Marana a little bit more, whether that's getting somebody else to be able to provide that width and spread the defense out, some, I think that could be maybe a missing link piece to the attack.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as if right now we have a lot of players that like to play in those half spaces between Nils, Darwin, Panholzer, even the fullbacks. They kind of like being in those half spaces a little bit. But yeah, I mean, definitely tackle on the wings would be a lot better. And I want to see Luca probably get his first goal. It'd be great if he gets it against Greenville. That'd be a great way how to start it off. Um, but I mean, Josh Kirkland, who leads the team right now, scoring right now, is it fair to say that? I mean, we make the joke that the team is very reliant on being direct to Kirkland and him winning those backboard balls where the ball's in the air and he has to use his body as a backboard and be very physical with center backs. Can the Kickers keep that up for the rest of the year, or are they going to be forced to change and adapt?
I mean, they probably can. I just question if it's the most effective or efficient way, of
Mm-hmm.
playing, but also using him. Like, I think Kirkland's better when you get him running into space. Overall, like, we saw it last year. Like, there's a reason he got a lot of his minutes on the wing, is because he needed to be on the field and pushing him out to the wing. Like, he could be able to run onto the ball and be able to create some chaos there. We've seen a couple of the goals he scored, or really all of the goals he scored this year, come about with a little bit of him being able to run freely. You know,
Yeah.
he can do back to the goal type of stuff, but I don't think that's the best use of what he has to bring to the table.
Yeah. Uh, I think it serves its purpose. Like I asked Darren this question during the post game show about like how do your team find the balance between going long and when to keep possession and playing on the ground. And I think they're finding their rhythm, like when is it best effective, right? Because maybe like a team against Charlotte where you have two dominant center backs, putting Kirkland on the island and trying to play long, maybe it's not the best, right? Maybe it is trying to keep it on the ground and trying to play through Charlotte. Where like a team like Westchester, they're a little bit more error prone. And maybe having, trying to just go direct will create some chances. So I think if the Kickers can find that balance and if the players can gain more confidence in themselves in doing it, then I mean all credit to them. Like, hey, keep with it. Like I think being adaptable is not a bad thing for this Kickers team. I think we have seen the issues of this when this team becomes like we are sticking to the style no matter what, or we are doing this one approach no matter what. Like I think them being adaptable and being able to grow and chop and change is going to be a positive, especially if the team's ambition is to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having multiple looks you can throw at a defense makes it trickier on them too, because you can't just dial in on one approach.
Yeah. Standout players for us. I think we have talked far and enough about Yann. I think he's a big standout player. Ali, I think he's another standout player. I'm not gonna lie. I think Ali is truly the poster child of the year so far. Just given what he was supposed to be to what he is now, there's no way any of us suspected or thought this.
I think that is fair. I would still say Jan is absolutely like poster child of the year. Best newcomer of the year. So Ollie's just more getting punished for coming in the same season as Jan. But I think if you're looking at okay, if you expect somebody to come in at like a 7 out of 10, I feel like realistically we would have thought Ollie would have been coming in at like a 2.5 or a 3 out of 10 expectation level. Like he was a late add, to training camp. It seemed like he would probably just be a defensive midfield cover, kind of guy.
Yeah.
And ever since he's gotten on the field, like he hasn't let Darren have the option of taking him out of the team. He's taken that spot over, entirely. So yeah, I think big surprise, absolutely Ollie. I'm still going to give, newcomer and as you put it, poster child to Jan.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go Ali just because of what he has brought so far. Like him is giving me once again. I'm not trying to compare this team to 2022, but there's so many comparable parts. Like he just reminds me of Zaka, like he just being a one man sweeper in that midfield, and it just allows Niels to do what he does best, and allows Darwin to pick the ball up in different areas. And he just like I mentioned it maybe during our last winning podcast, he just plays these easy balls. Like it's nothing spectacular. He's not looking to pick the ball up deep and play like multiple breaking line passes, but it's just like he just helps bring the ball upfield, or he knows when to slow down an attack. And it's never it's not really like yellow card offensive when he makes these tackles, which I love.
He's got a couple.
I mean, he's gotten a couple, yeah, but like for the majority of them, he's made some tackles where it's like, oh, you knew to make that tackle because your defense is stretched out, or you knew to slow this ball down because it's just that awareness is key.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that as a negative. I think there's value in taking a well timed yellow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
So, all right. I mean, what other kind of superlatives do you want to give for right now? I guess we kind of covered biggest surprise, inadvertently.
I mean, is there a player you're hoping to see more out of in these next what? I put the end of June because I always feel like that's the middle part of the season. But is there any player you want to see more out of?
Yeah, most of the attack. I
feel like that's fair.
Like I feel Darwin is finally starting to come into his own this year. I think he was hurt the first portion of the year, but like somebody had to play. So he was kind of thrown out there as a sacrifice, almost. But it feels like he's getting into rhythm, and he's definitely dropping more into the midfield and affecting play from there. So I think that can be helpful. But I think seeing his counting stats rise a bit more would be highly beneficial to the team. I mentioned earlier, like we need Lucca to score goals.
Yeah,
that's what he's here for.
I feel like it's. I want to see more. Yeah, I want to see more out of Lucca. Just more. And granted, he hasn't had an opportunity to start because Kirkland has been hot, right? But I wanted to just see like, can this Kickers throw something different, right? Because Lucca's not winning those in behind balls with physicality like Kirkland is, right? He's kind of a player more so than want to pick up the ball on his feet. So how does Darren now adjust that when you have three players out there that want the ball to feet in space? And how does he go about creating that space so that these guys can be at their best? So yeah, because somebody's not going to be able to get the ball at their feet. Somebody's going to have to do the dirty work in the attack and create space for the other two.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Areas of concern for. Oh, my fault. What were you going to say?
Oh, never mind. No, we'll get to mine at the end of this. Might get answered along the way.
Oh, okay. I mean, we talked about it a little bit right now. I mean, obviously the attack is probably the biggest area of concern. But is there any concern in the possession numbers or the possession numbers at all?
I feel like they're coming around. So I think in due time it's going to be fine. Like the first couple games were painful. Since then, I feel like they've been a lot more reasonable and manageable. So I'm not going to sweat that one too much.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't think that's too much of a concern. I think it's just the way how they want to play. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, they had one game which they had more possession. That was the Charlotte game. This game they got up to about 40% possession. But I mean, also like game states, like Westchester is going to have the ball more because they're pressing to get a goal back. And when they're trying to create an opportunity where Kickers are kind of just like, hey, we're fine. Hitting you on the counter. Like, is it fair to say that Darren is tactically probably found his style for this team and making them a counter-attacking team in a mid-block, mid to lowish block?
I mean, it's wild, but I might still say it's too early to say about that because, like,
And that's fair. That's fair.
we haven't seen the full group together yet.
Yeah, that's very Darren speak. That is very Darren speak.
But you think about it, like, I doubt we'd see it regularly, but I know that there's been people wondering, like, oh, Kirkland and Dourado in there, together, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's one element of it. Like, Tyler Freeman's been out for at least a month, if not more at this point.
A month, yeah.
I don't even know who's seen him on the field with Neil Seufert at any point, this year.
No, because I think when he got hurt, I think that's when Niels came back.
Right. So
I'm looking up. Hold on, let me see.
So those are just some different pieces, up front that, if they're all healthy and on the field together, could really make a very different look for this team. Do I think that they're all going to be out there at the same time a lot? Probably not. But it could be something.
Yeah. Yeah, so Kirkland got hurt.
Freeman,
my fault. Freeman got hurt against FC Naples in that 1-0 loss. And I'm trying to see. The next game, that was the 1-0 loss to Knoxville.
I think that's when Niels came back as a sub.
Yeah. No. Niels did not come back yet. That's when he signed his new contract, but that's when I think Darwin started to come back.
Okay. So yeah, add Darwin into some of that conversation too, of guys who haven't necessarily played with all all the attacking toys that could be available.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
it will be interesting.
So maybe it looks different, if and when all those guys are available. Which kind of brings me to what I was going to ask you before. Of the injured guys, so the main two I was thinking of were Vinberg and Freeman. But if you want to throw like an Ethan Cause in there, I'm going to leave Kirkland out just because we don't know what his status is right now. I don't think we have anybody else like significantly other than those three, do we?
No, I don't think so. I think those are the big three.
If you had to say one of them is magically healed for next week, who are you picking?
Vinberg.
Why?
His efficiency on defense. Like, I like his partnership. Him and Sam's partnership, I think, is a lot better than Dak and Sam's, which is a good partnership, but it leaves you wanting more. And I feel like Sam and Vinberg will give you a little bit more, especially going up against Greenville because they're a veteran, crafty team. I just feel like Vinberg would do a good job of handling that.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm not entirely sure. Like, I'd be tempted to go with the Freeman option just because we know Dak can do a job. Back there as the defensive replacement, and again, kind of like what we were just talking about, being able to see more of the attacking toys out there together. See how it might mix things up. It's now that we're seeing guys start to play a little bit prettier with tight touches, 1-2s around guys. I feel like that might be fun with Freeman in there. Also, Kirkland's actually hurt, getting the guy who's had experience playing on the front line, in the USL in the past, not a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not a bad thing. I mean, looking ahead, if we look at the next 10 games coming up, which it feels like things might be settling for the Kickers a little bit here, because you kind of got past that big tidal wave of those big name teams. But I mean, next 10 games is you have Greenville, Charleston Battery, Chattanooga, Boise, Loudoun, Boise, Corpus Christi. That's 7. Fort Wayne, Portland Hearts and Pine, and Sarasota. And Greenville again. So Greenville to Greenville, I think that's 10. Oh,
I think 10 is Sarasota, but yeah.
Okay. So how we feeling about that 10-game stretch for the Kickers?
Well, but two of them I don't care.
Okay.
I do care, but they're not they're not
Not
priority.
priority.
A lot of some big away games in there. So we got Greenville away coming up next.
Mm-hmm.
Chattanooga away is going to be in there. Boise away is in there. Corpus Christi away is in there. Portland away is in there. So I think some telling games because we know that yes, home points are where everybody's bread is buttered, but playoff level teams are able to get a respectable amount of points on the road, and realistically that means being able to get a good handful of away wins over the course of the year. And I think that Boise away might be tough, but the rest of these, I think you got to look to be able to see, can you get I don't know how many away games is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 league away games. The next 10 overall games, so 8 of those are in the league. I think if you can be able to look at getting 6 points out of those 5 away games, this team can be well positioned. Grant, assuming that they take care of reasonable amount of business at home at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like these next 10 games coming up is going to be all about the road form. I mean, because the Kickers only play, I think I counted 4 times in those 10 at City Stadium. So the rest of them are on the road. Boise looks to be a tough team at home. Corpus Christi is still Ethan. So I mean Iman. So I'm still kind of don't know what to expect out of them out there. Chattanooga to me is the game that if you can tell me any game that I can win, is that game. I will feel so much better about this season if we can beat Chattanooga May 27th in Chattanooga. Like that would make this stretch for me just because of that personal hatred there. But I mean, like, I'm gonna ask you a question, man. I'm gonna see if you can get this right because I researched this last night.
All right.
So the Kickers haven't had the best luck recently against Greenville. Part 1 of the question: can you give me the Kickers' last non-penalty win against Greenville?
Was it the second game of the 23 season when Belmar scored?
Yes, it is. 12th minute Belmar scored. There you go. All right, there you go. Right after, that's when we thought Belmar was going to take off, and it did not.
He started well.
Yeah, he started well. That's a good way to put it. Started well. But yeah, I mean, since then the Kickers have not won. If you take out the non-penalties, they have not won in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games against Greenville. So, yeah, this will be a big. How big would this game be for Richmond to overcome Greenville and get a win here and keep the momentum going in the league?
Yeah, I think it'd be massive because Greenville, at least to me right now, feels like the kind of team. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near what they've been in some previous years. Like I think they're, going to be in for a tough one, this season. And I'm just looking at the results so far. Okay, they've played 5 league games. They're 2-3. They got 6 points. Their only wins are, home wins against Cosmos and Westchester, which I think a lot of people are going to stack points in those games.
Yeah.
So they've lost at home to Chattanooga. They've lost at Naples. They lost at Omaha. Okay, those last 2 are perfectly reasonable results. Like it's not, but I haven't seen anything out of them that makes me say, "Ooh, Greenville, this is a scary one." I think this is the kind of game where you know it's a level setter essentially.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we want to go back to that tier conversation. They go in there and get a win against at Greenville. I think that makes them a very reasonable tier 2 type team argument.
Yeah, and I mean, look, a win against a Greenville team would definitely you start to create some separation between yourself and the rest
At
of
the
the
very
team.
Greenville.
I mean, yeah, my fault. Yeah, I mean, because what right now? Yeah, I think there's only 1 point separating 16th. I mean, not 1 point, but 3 points separating 8th and 16th. Like, it's still very tight. And I mean, we're talking about very early part of the season, even though it feels like it's longer. It's still very early in the season. So, yeah, I mean, it's so much to play for, Matt. But the Kickers will do it. They'll pull it off. By the way, happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, especially to our moms. We can do this without you. You guys are amazing and great. And also, happy early birthday to my wife, whose birthday is on May 9th. So I have to give her my phone because I will watch this game, and I have to make sure I cannot watch this game. Be with her in person.
I mean, we're gonna find out for sure if she listens now because I think you just told her she's getting a new phone for her birthday.
Yeah,
Hey,
we'll see. Hopefully the Kickers will have me in a good mood. Come, what time is this game at? 7, 9?
Is she excited for a birthday doubleheader? Ivy at 5, Kickers at 7.
So actually, we won't be here. We will be in Charlotte celebrating her birthday down in her hometown. So I'm like 2 hours away from the Kickers.
I was like, the game's in Greenville, not Charlotte.
I know.
You got the weekend wrong.
Yeah, I was trying to convince her, but that conversation got ended very quickly.
Yeah. You got to go out and pick one last thing for your birthday. 5 hours later.
Ta-da! Why are we passing Charlotte? Because we're going to Greenville.
Oh no, I was saying she be at I guess the in-laws' house or whatever. You go out to pick up the cake or whatever. It's like what I got you for your birthday was peace and quiet, a soccer-free evening. Because I went out and did that on my own instead.
Yeah, that conversation would not end well. No, I can see that now. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, man. Hopefully we can end this streak, keep it pushing. Also, I don't know if you noticed or not. May 16th is retro night for the Kickers against Charleston Battery. I heard they're planning something. Hopefully, it's a lot better than that imitation version of the US Open Cup kit. Hope it's better than that, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. And before we get out of here, listeners, if you haven't already, if you're in the Discord, make sure you sign up for the June 6th away trip to Loudon. Tickets are right now about $55. That's bus and ticket to and from the game. I'm going to be there. We're going to be recording the trip. It's going to be fun. So make sure you go do it. It's a fun. Like when you get to do away days and proper away days, take the opportunity. Always take it. So I look forward to it, especially school's going to be over. That's going to be like my first big vacation.
What a vacation, Loudoun County.
Loudoun County with 30 Richmond Kickers fans, probably all drunk in 95 traffic. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Anything else for you, Matt, before we wrap up?
No, I mean, fun week, even if Friday games are a little weird. It's nice to be able to watch all the Saturday games, kind of stress-free, and long may it continue.
Long may it continue. Long may it continue. But listeners, as always, we just want to say thank you for taking the time of your day for watching our show. Without you, we couldn't do this. We wouldn't want to do this. So if you can, make sure you like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Go to rivercity93.com, and if you feel so, you can donate as well to our Ko-Fi. All money goes toward production of this podcast. So thank you guys again. With that being said, for Matt, myself, and the rest of the crew, make sure you go check out the podcast. They are getting ready to drop their first episode very soon. And for us here at River City 93, we'll holler at you guys next week, where hopefully after Mother's Day, we'll be talking about a Richmond Kickers win. So be easy and be safe. Peace.